Get ready for the dictation. 5 seconds to go. Start. Sir, I rise to draw the attention of the government and the House to the unjust action of government in attending to making good quality salt available to mass of people in the country. Salt had a great role in rousing people against the British government during the freedom struggle. Salt is also an essential requirement for our health. So, making available good quality salt at reasonable price is the prime duty of the government. Out of 6.16 lakh acres of salt producing land in the country, the government controls only 68,337 acre, which is about 10%. Of the rest, a major part is under the control of monopolies. It is in this background the move of the government to close down two regional offices, 17 testing labs, and 53 factory offices under Salt Commissioners organization coming under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry becomes important. Such a move is said to be taken on the recommendation of Expenditure Reforms Committee based on the evaluation of the National Productivity Council in order to restructure and rationalize Salt Commissioners organization. In West Bengal, there is also one regional office at Kolkata under which 60,000 metric tons of salt is produced annually. The only salt testing lab at Kolkata is also being closed, putting the salt factory in Minadpur district under the supervision of the regional office at Chennai, which is more than 1500 kilometers away. This is being done at a time when further strengthening of the test lab at Kolkata has been recommended by the National Productivity Council. Under the slogan of minimum government, maximum governance, what is actually being done is the withdrawal of government's involvement in production of such an essential commodity like salt. This subjects crores of ordinary people to absolute exploitation by private corporate sector under the cover of rationing or restructuring the Salt Commissioner's office. I demand complete reversal of the decision of mass scale closure of substantial part of Salt Commissioners organization including the regional office and test lab at Kolkata in order to uphold public interest. Sir, I express my gratitude to the Honorable former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu for my being here in this august house, and I rise to speak on the Factories Amendment Bill 2016. Sir, the Factories Amendment Bill 2016 was passed by Lok Sabha in August 2016. A comprehensive Factories Amendment Bill 2014 was initially introduced in Lok Sabha in 2014 and later referred to a parliamentary standing committee. The standing committee in its report raised serious objections to many of the proposed amendments while welcoming some of the amendments. Since the 2014 bill saw no movement after that, the government decided to come out with the present bill, amending just two sections of the Factories Act, that is, Section 64 and 65. Welfare of labor, including conditions of work, is a subject of concurrent list of our constitution, which means that both center and states can make laws on this subject. The Factories Act 1948 itself is a central piece of legislation, but sections 64 and 65 provided certain rule making powers exclusively to the states. Now, this is being amended to empower the central government also to make rules on those subjects. Such overlapping of powers can result in confrontations and could be against the principle of cooperative federalism. Through this amendment, the government could impose reforms on states as well by making rules if the state is not taking the initiative. Section 64 provided that a state can prescribe rules to set the overtime limit, but such overtime should not exceed 50 hours in a period of 3 months. This is being amended to say that now the center or the state can prescribe rules governing overtime limits, but the overtime limit cannot exceed 100 hours in a quarter. The limit has been expanded from 50 to 100 hours. Further, any rule made under this section was to be in operation for 5 years only. But now the rules made under this section can be in operation for an indefinite period of time. Section 65 earlier provided that a state can relax certain conditions like period of work under some circumstances, and to enable the factory or factories to deal with an exceptional nature of work, it can prescribe overtime limits which must not exceed 75 hours in a quarter. Now the center as well as states can make rules in this regard and can prescribe an overtime limit which cannot exceed 115 hours. The limit has been expanded from 75 hours to 115 hours. The bill further adds a proviso enabling the center or the state government and even the chief inspector, with the prior approval of the state government, to increase the number of overtime hours to 125 in a quarter in public interest. Stop.